Who would have thought that the humble eyebrow would be such a powerful game changer in world history? Most of us possess the distinctly human characteristic of eyebrows. While we all have eyebrows, what are they actually for? Going way back to our prehistoric past, eyebrows served a functional role of preventing debris, falling rain, and our own sweat from descending into our eye sockets. But scientists have become increasingly convinced that they also serve another important function, which is all to do with how they reflect our emotions. We are aware that the ancient species of humans, like the Neanderthals, looked a little bit different from us, but the most obvious dissimilarity is that our archaic predecessors possessed a pronounced and quite distinctive brow ridge, which differs from our own flat and vertical foreheads. For scientists, this marked difference between us and them has been the most difficult to explain. It was even famously remarked that a Neanderthal would go unnoticed on a New York subway if they could simply wear a hat to conceal this distinctive feature. Recent research may have finally solved the puzzle in explaining why ancient humans had such a pronounced wedge of bone above their eyes, while modern humans do not. It seems to be right down to the fact that we have gradually evolved our highly movable eyebrows, which can be used to express a wide range of subtle emotions, which in turn may have played a crucial role in human survival. Scientist Paul O'Higgins at the University of York described the brow ridges of our predecessors, H. heidelbergensis and Neanderthals, as like having a peaked cap on the top of the forehead. He and colleague Penny Spikins used computer modelling to virtually shave away the gigantic brow ridge from a heidelbergensis skull to find out why they have vanished from the human lineage. They then observed how this change affected the structure of the face and skull. It became clear that the brow ridge did not provide any structural advantage as previously thought, such as buffering between the brain and eye sockets or strengthening the jaw for chewing. Instead, the scientists came to believe that these prominent arches of bone over the eyes may have simply served to signal dominance to other individuals of the species, for example, as with the huge antlers of modern male moose. Other researchers support the theory, such as Chris Stringer, an anthropologist at the Natural History Museum in London. He has likened the survival strategy of ancestral hominins to olive baboons, monkeys who raise their eyebrows as part of their dominance displays. O'Higgins and his colleagues have suggested that when our ancestors lost the aggressive-looking brow ridges, they achieved a subtler form of communication. Over the millennia, the need to assert dominance became less important, and the need to communicate and cooperate with other humans became more so. That appears to be why the heavy brow ridges of our ancestors have slowly morphed into the lofty foreheads of today. The scientists found that the big brow ridges limit the movement of the eyebrows, but the eyebrows became freed up when the ridges disappeared. As the human face became flatter with a vertical forehead, we could suddenly move our eyebrows up and down, allowing much more nuanced social communication. We were able to start interpreting if someone is angry, happy, or sad, and evolve more complex emotions of connection, such as empathy and a desire to collaborate. It's also possible that as our foreheads became larger, the muscles we use to control our eyes and eyebrows developed more complexity and range of subtle movements, and therefore self-expression. While the Neanderthal lineage is now thought to have broken away and even evolved beyond the present-day human, it was our status as a social cooperative species that led us to keep our facial characteristics, which are amongst our most valuable tools. Our facial expressions are essential to our social interactions, helping us to instinctively work out what another person is feeling or thinking. For our species, losing the brow ridge certainly meant that we looked less intimidating, but in developing flatter and more vertical foreheads, we became able to do something very unusual: move our eyebrows in a variety of subtle and meaningful ways. O'Higgins' research indicates that we would be unable to do that if we had evolved faces like those of the Neanderthals. Other research has already shown that modern humans today unconsciously lift their eyebrows briefly when they spot someone at a distance to indicate that we are not a threat. A quick eyebrow flash is a cross-cultural signal of recognition and openness to communicating, while drawing our eyebrows up at the middle is an expression of sympathy, a tendency observed by Charles Darwin in the 19th century. In effect, expressive eyebrows are a biological tool for demonstrating to other people what we're genuinely feeling. Minuscule movements of the eyebrows also provide key clues in identifying trustworthiness and deception. Although the decline of the brow ridge may have initially been caused by changes in our brain or facial size reduction, it subsequently enabled our eyebrows to express our emotions and make friendly gestures to people around us. Historically speaking, these marked changes in the face evolved at a time when important social changes were starting to emerge. Most significantly, the collaboration between distantly related groups of humans. From after 100,000 years ago, modern human groups began to spread out across the globe, exchanging gifts across large regions. The emotional complexity required for the commitment to create distant alliances probably helped early humans to colonize new environments, while maintaining friends they could rely on and retreat back to. Modern humans also lived in larger and more diverse communities than previous species, thus reducing inbreeding. The impacts of beneficial and cooperative relationships with people outside one's own group were far-reaching, and the development of mobile eyebrows is likely to have been a crucial part of all these changes. Evolutionary anthropologists are still yet to explain the reasons for what they call the Pleistocene dispersal, so it's astounding to think that a small biological feature such as the eyebrow could drive such a massive change in human society. Interestingly, these changes were not exclusive to the human species. They are similar to developments seen when wolves become domesticated. Our modern dogs have more waggy tails and flatter faces than wolves, and those who are able to look cuter by raising their brows have a greater chance of being selected from shelters. There is no doubt that for humans and dogs, being able to get along with others was key to survival, and for our ancestors, the evolution of the eyebrows played an important role in expressing friendliness. Most people possess two distinct eyebrows with a thinner type of hair between their brows, but in some people this hair is more pronounced, like actual eyebrow hair. This creates the appearance of one long eyebrow, dubbed a unibrow, with perhaps the most famous unibrow in history belonging to Mexican artist Frida Kahlo. Her unibrow was boldly featured in her iconic self-portraits. Unibrows may seem more common in men, but they occur in both sexes. In most of the Western world, women are simply more likely to remove the in-between hair. There are well-known examples of celebrities with both unibrows and brow ridges, both of which may lend a strong and dramatic look to an actor's face. Scientists have actually identified a gene that seems to influence whether or not your eyebrows meet in the middle, the PAX3 gene, on chromosome 2. Each of your parents transfers a copy of their PAX3 gene down to you, and whichever version of the gene you get from either parent will decide whether or not your eyebrows meet in the middle. Although the current scientific knowledge about the inheritance of unibrows is limited, Ancestry DNA can inform you if your DNA indicates that you may have a unibrow. There are other genes science has not so far identified that influence eyebrow shape and thickness. Throughout history, eyebrow fashions have changed, with trends dictating how people have shaped and groomed their eyebrows. In ancient Greece, the unibrow was considered beautiful and thought an attribute of desirable and intelligent women. Rich Greek women would paint on a unibrow if they didn't possess a natural one. During the Middle Ages, women aspired to having a large forehead, so they shaved or plucked their eyebrows to enhance their beauty. In Tajikistan, for example, a unibrow is seen as an attractive feature in both men and women. In women, it is associated with virginity and purity, and in men, virility. Women have a leafy herb called usma, which they use to paint in unibrows. Despite all their diversity today, it's still fascinating to think that this simple body part may have changed the world.